Hello and welcome to the For the Love of Creatives podcast. I am your connections and community guy host, Dwight, joined by Maddox. And today our featured guest is Sean Delaney. Welcome, Sean.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it. I've been looking forward to this.
Well, we're really excited to have you here. There's so much about your life that is, my goodness. I read your story, the 40-year-old rapper, and so much of it was like getting able to retread my own past. There's a lot of things that about us that intersect. I was surprised to see that you were in the Navy at the same time that I was in the Army, and you got to cross into Texas, where I've always called home, and it was really cool learning about Hudson and all of the cool adventures that you've had. But you could do a whole lot better about sharing with everyone who you are and what you're about. Why don't you just take a minute or two to introduce creatives that might be listening to Sean Delaney?
Sure. Yes, my name is Sean Delaney, and I've been an artist for over 20 years. I've been a writer my entire life. I started with poetry when I was 12 years old. Always loved English, just had a knack for spelling, and just truly love anything that has to do with literature and art. And I just kind of fell in love with the entire impact of it all. And I grew up in Hudson, a small town in upstate New York. And during my time growing up, during the 90s, is really where the whole hip hop era kicked in. And it created me as a true hip hop artist. I started writing songs very early, but rap was my thing, and I kind of fell in love with it. And I had a few groups that we created together while I was growing up, and it was always just a staple of my life. Every time I turned around to try to step away from it, like joining the Navy or whatever, the music would always pull me back in. Every single given point, every time I turned around, the music was right there waiting again. So it was almost like God had a purpose for me, and I definitely felt that it was an itch that I needed to scratch for sure. So I continued, and my big break was probably back in 2007 when I created "Open Your Eyes," which is the first hip hop song ever written on autism. Because besides being an artist, I've been working in the field of disability for the last 25 years as well. Um, and one of the songs, like I said, the "Open Your Eyes" was created based on me being a direct support professional. And the song took off. We made a music video out of it using, with permission from the individuals I supported, their families. We created a beautiful video that went viral on YouTube, and really kind of created a spiral effect of me going all over the country performing the song, and getting it out there for advocacy. And I became a consultant for the Direct Support Professional Alliance of New York State. And I was actually one of the 12 members, the 12 founding members of that alliance, to create the three-term definition of a direct support professional, which is really, really awesome. So, with that being said, the music always followed me, and as I got older in life, and there's just a lot to my story, but as I got older in life, I realized that with the ever-changing music industry, it was time for me to pivot. So I think that's where I started to take a different direction, and I created my own genre called American, excuse me, American Floke, which is folk music and the word flow inside of it. So basically, it's all the music that I grew up listening to with my father, the classic rock, all the elements of eclectic music that I love, and kind of put it all into one genre to create my brand, including my clothing business, which I started in 2008, which is Sincerely Dedicated. So I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. I've always branded myself completely. You never see me without my double sig or anything that I'm wearing. I'm a walking billboard for my brand, and I just love the fact that being a creative is just something that I'm extremely passionate about. So in a nutshell, I guess that's a small term of what my life is really has been like.
Well, and you contain multitudes because, I mean, even with the things that you've shared, some of the more touching parts of your autobiography had to do with how you navigated dealing with, well, the rich joy that came from family of choice and of origin. And you talked about what it was to make your mark and do something meaningful for the next generation. I know that your family is incredibly important to you. And
Absolutely.
uh, I look at all that you've done and all the ways that you give. And I mean, you didn't even talk about your involvement with you have your own radio station as well, right? I mean, you're
Yeah,
doing.
we've done quite a bit. Absolutely.
I just want
Yeah.
to know, have you learned how to clone yourself? I mean, are there
Right.
five of you or 10 of you doing all this?
I know I should have been an octopus in another life, you know what I mean? Because it takes so much multitasking to be able to pull this off. And I was literally just talking to my wife about it yesterday, and I just wanted to thank her because without her, I don't think that I'd be able to do half of the things that I'm doing so much better now. Because when I was younger, as you know in the book, things were a little up in the air, should I say? Just wasn't as ready, to really take on the world and take on a force like music and really dive into it and tapping into what you were saying about the radio station. Shout out to my team, Rush Entertainment, Jim Rushmore, and the entire family that I'm a part of now. Being a marketing manager for that company and really starting to create something bigger, is just another kind of cookie in the jar that I'm a part of. So there's other things that I have going on that I can't even talk about, which is amazing as well. So I just try to put myself out there, but I try to remain extremely humble and extremely conscious of what the world needs today, and I think that's love and the power of words in a positive direction.
Yeah, I'm really moved by just the way that even early on you gave back in such a big way that I happened to go and see that Open Your Eyes video and
But you were able to
it,
find it?
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, you've got quite a fan base out there, and so there's a lot of people that make it pretty easy to find your work. And I was moved by how it was real, it was raw. You had you put a light on something that a lot of people just kind of locked away and quietly forgot. And it was so cool for you to provide a platform to show that, just because people might be different, there's still people who need love, affection, attention. They have the same highs and lows that we all do, and they um, need to be treated as fully whole human beings and appreciated and celebrated. And yeah, I actually cried watching that video.
You would not be the first, that's for sure. I mean, when it first came out, it was, because I was a lot younger then, and to watch everybody cry whenever they watched it, I mean, it was just like, whoa, like what is this song doing? Like I had no idea that it was that impactful, but yeah, it was pretty intense as far as the amount of advocacy and everything that we were able to create. I mean, we went to Washington D.C. to the Capitol, to perform. So I mean, the opportunities that I got from it were absolutely huge, and it does bring a smile to me knowing that that was a part of my journey, and that I was able to kind of uh, you know mix direct support with music and hip hop. The fact that I was able to do that is pretty awesome. So it just goes to show again that I feel like God put all these things in place for me to make them all work together as one.
Yeah, and without a doubt, uh, the beauty of being able to have all of your gifts come together the way that they have. I mean, and reading your book, I was kind of blown away with. It was a way for you to show a little bit of flourish and show your skill as a wordsmith. I mean, it was
Thank you.
it definitely hit on a lot of levels. I mean, there were some things that I felt like I was definitely in on the joke because I was, we're in the same age cohort. So there were a lot of things that were nice little flashes from my own past as I was reading about it. Um, you've done a lot when it comes to learning some hard lessons growing up. I
Yeah.
mean, you referred to your 20s as the wonder years.
Right.
And I guess an interpretation of that is, it's a wonder that you're still here because you got into some pretty intense situations.
Absolutely. Yep. Um, yeah, uh, my parents, I love them to death, but they're hippies. You know what I mean? They're from the '70s era, and they were always that feel good kind of free kind of parents, back in the day. And growing up in the town, it felt like a movie, of us growing up in this city. Truly, to all of my Hudsonians out there, they know that when you were growing up in Hudson, it was incredible. I mean, and the simplicity of it all, with just the whole aspect of how much the world has changed. You know what I mean? But as far as growing up in the town, there was just so every time you turn around, there was something to do. There was always something to do. There was always some kind of trouble to get into, really. And without those lessons, I don't feel like I would be the man who I am today. You know what I mean? So I do thank um, God for putting those steps in front of me and those lessons to really see, what it really takes to grow and to become somebody new that's not, on the verge of death or on the verge of becoming a drug addict forever or becoming a person that gets lost in life. So I'm glad that I was able to pull myself out of there when, there were a few of my friends who weren't able to do that, who are no longer with me. So, I pray for all of them every day, and I miss the people that I lost, and it was all a part of that design, back in the day of you either get caught up or you find a way out, and luckily I was one of the ones to get myself out of there.
You know, we reach a really magical moment when we have that awareness of that full circle gratitude for all that we've been through. You know, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You said it made me the man I am today. And I remember that moment really, really well in my own life when I look back on all the traumas and all of the things that I went through that you know, that moment of wow, that gratitude. And I just want to call it out because I've experienced it. You're saying it, and if you haven't experienced that yet, it's something to shoot for. To find that day when you can be grateful for every. I understand that gratitude is not just being grateful for the good things that happen to your life. It's being grateful for every experience you have ever had, good, bad, and ugly.
100%. Absolutely. To be able to pull yourself out of such dark places and come out, unscathed for the most part. I mean, I feel like I've still got some trauma from all of that 100% in my mind and in my soul, but I carry it with me, in my pocket just as a reminder of what it took to get where I'm at now.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Sean. So
Thank you.
I have some questions about American Floke.
Sure.
It's I've never met anybody that actually created a genre. Now I know that genres get created or we wouldn't have so many, but you often don't hear about who created the genre. Sometimes we do, but I couldn't really go back and name anybody that I'm aware of that created any genre. So I and this is going to spur probably a bunch more questions, but what inspired you to what was it that came to you that the where you went, I I think I'll create a new music genre. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. Not everybody experiences something like that.
Yeah, I would say that for many, many years my music didn't fit in a specific category, because I grew up, like I said, I grew up listening to classic rock with my father on Saturday mornings. Wake up listening to Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, the Beatles, you know, Lionel Richie, Elton John, you name it, and all of those songs, like the beats, the elements, everything to it was just so absolutely profound to me. And I would take his cassette tapes and record over them with my friends. That wasn't the best thing. He'd be like, he'd be putting on a I don't know, Elton John tape or whatever, and hear my voice on it, like, what the heck happened here? But all of those things shaped me into a different type of artist, because I have I've been in two rock bands also. I was in a band called Out of Nowhere, where me and my buddy Lou Tower, Patty Kalb, we did some really, really amazing things. I think it was way, way ahead of its time, honestly, because we were talking about dystopian futures and the world crumbling, while we were on this other planet and things like that. But the music was incredible. He was an awesome guitar player, and I was always doing like the rap rock thing. And we were performing in sold out show called Joe's Bar, and we really owned that place. It was that was in the heyday. Joe's Bar is now demolished by a bulldozer. So and it's a car place now. So it just goes to show how things change. But as far as the music aspect, it just I've always been a different breed. Like I always wanted to make completely type of different songs. Like I made a you guys don't know this probably, but I made, well, actually you would, Dwight, if you read the book. So I made an album called The Wonder Years, and it was pretty
Yeah.
much a complete sampling of literally everything I grew up listening to with my father, and all the songs were turned into hip hop songs. Queen, you name it. Literally everything that you could think of. Led Zeppelin, Beatles. I sampled all of it and created my own songs. When 2000, when September 11th happened, I created a album called The Revolution, and it was a full-on album of samples about America and all of that. So I was never just the one guy that just fit into a box. It just never ever was me. And once I got to a point of growing older and realizing that hip hop isn't the same anymore at all, and that for me, I don't truly fit into. Nobody's really looking to hear that 90s style of hip hop type of, especially coming from, Caucasian artist, depending on just where everything is. And I said, you know what? Well, since I've always been not in a category, I'm going to continue that, and I'm going to create my own genre, and kind of created American Floke based on that. And uh, my buddy and mentor Jim Rushmore from Rush Entertainment told me that the idea was brilliant, and that creating American Floke would be something that would really take your music to the next level. And so I did. And American Floke was born, and I have a producer. His name is M. Arsonist. He's out of Arizona, and he's extremely, extremely talented. I mean, we have music that's coming out. Right now, I just put out Thread on February 1st, and we could talk about Thread, but we can go back into why I made that song my next single. But I do have a lot of new stuff that's coming out with some Benny King samples, Chicago. I mean, this is gonna like blow people away. I'm so excited about it, and that's what American folk is. It's not just country grit because the thing is with Hudson, you can be in the city downtown and then you could throw a rock and you could be in the country. You know what I mean? That's where I live. I live right on the outskirts. So that's why I consider myself to be somewhat of a country boy, also because I grew up in Pennsylvania with my grandmother, and that's where the Took a Ride song came from. She lived in the, in the okey doke, I don't even know how to explain how, rural her area was, but that's where I grew up when my parents would take me there for the summers and say, "All right, goodbye. I'll see you next summer." But it was absolutely the greatest experience ever being there, and that's why I created Took a Ride because it was just such a loving thing for me, and that's where American folk really generated from.
So when this idea came up, I'm going to create a new genre. Was that just kind of off the cuff? Okay, yeah, I think I'll just do that. Or was this something where, like, was that scary in any way? Was it like, well, what if I put this out there and the whole world laughs at me? I mean,
Yeah.
what did you experience as you thought about it and prepared to launch that? I mean, a lot of our podcast is about becoming, and I guess what I'm getting at is I kind of want to know who Sean Delaney had to become in order to create in a world where there's only so many music genres to create another one and one that's kind of really offbeat, you know?
Yeah, no, it's a great, great question. And honestly, I wasn't scared at all. Like, and it's the same reason where Sincerely Dedicated originated from. Um, our first design was my signature on a sweatshirt. You know what I mean? And the fact how it just took off. Everybody and their mom had a signature Sean Delaney signature sweatshirt, and that's where Sincerely Dedicated originated from. I created the logo based off of a treble clef. I was at work at special needs program where I worked as a DSP before I created Open Your Eyes, and that's when I created literally because 2007 2008 I created Sincerely Dedicated right in the kitchen there with my coworkers where I took a treble clef and I said, well, look, if you flip a treble clef, you could see it. There's a S and a D in a treble clef, and it's like, wait, what? And it's like, okay, Sincerely Dedicated. That's awesome because it's Sean Delaney, Sincerely Dedicated, the SD, and so I completely branded myself based off of all of that. So, scared, no, because everything I've ever done was completely original and authentic. I never ever wanted to follow trends. I never ever wanted to. I looked up to the greats and I read some books on Mark Echo to see how to do my clothing line and things like that. I was a big fan of Echo clothing back in the day. And, that's how I created. I was a fan of Jay-Z when he created his Rockefeller Empire back in the day. So these are all things that help me shape and mold myself. But as far as the originality and authenticity, it was just completely, completely original and groundbreaking. Everything that I've done, and I do feel proud of that. Even though the world is yet to fully experience what I've done, I'm sure they will very soon.
I like that point of view. I like your confidence. I mean, your devotion is very evident,
Thank you.
like unwavering, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, dedication is the key to success, and we have this double signature key sweatshirt where I put the key right in the double sig, you know what I mean? Because literally, and being dedicated as a Delaney, Delaney, dedication, all of it goes hand in hand. And my grandfather was the mayor of Hudson. My father was the commissioner of the fire department. All my family, police officers, dedicated police officers, detectives. So dedication, the whole name, the crest, the Delaney crest, the Irish crest, all of it kind of goes hand in hand with who I am as a person, and dedication is definitely something that I live my life based off of 100%. I never ever give up. I never quit. My wife's like, you know, wow, like how could you do how could you do all this and continue? And it's like, there's just no quit in me at all. So watching some of my friends kind of fall off the wagon, and they still look at me like, man, you're still doing this. And it's like, well, honestly, I mean, turning 40 is kind of like the second chapter of my life. It's not like it's over. So it's like I could be whatever the heck I want to be. I mean, I was just talking to Jim the other day about this. I was like, look at Colonel Sanders. How old was he when he found out that he was going to create the world's greatest chicken, and literally became a billionaire by the time he was like, I think he started at 65, 70 years old, you know? And unfortunately, he passed shortly after that. But as far as what he created, I mean, there's many, many celebrities, everything. Harrison Ford. I mean, they all started. 40 is the next phase. So
Yeah,
I'm
40 is
just happy.
probably the new 20 now.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just happy to be grown, smarter, more knowledgeable, and be able to not be taken for rides anymore with all the managers and everything that said they were going to do this and that for me over the years. And I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah. I put all my money into it, invest into it, go to the clubs down in New York City just to have to go home on the train. Literally just insane things that I did when I was younger. Now I know that like the steps have to be more calculated, they have to be more meticulous, and they have to be planned and thought out to make sense, you know?
The timeline is really interesting because you're talking about what you've learned and now how more intentional you are. But I also get the impression that you started all this when you were too young to be afraid.
Yeah, I think so.
There's a point in our lives where a lot of us just become kind of, we think we're invincible, we can just do anything, and you did, you
Right.
know?
Hmm.
Yeah, but now you're in a phase in life where you know that you have to keep doing things that make you uncomfortable in order to continue growing.
That's right. That's right. And I've accepted that it's going to be uncomfortable. I've accepted that, even the song Thread is uncomfortable. It's very dark song about kind of just like what I go through in my head. You know what I mean? What I go through in my head feels like, sometimes I'm just hanging on by a thread. And so I wrote this song and I made the music video. And, the music video is very, um, I make all my own music videos. So if you can just imagine being my dogs and seeing me walking around with a drone and seeing me, I put thread, wrapped it all over my face. And they're like looking at me like, what is wrong with you today? But but the emotion, the raw emotion of it is that, sometimes I feel like, I'm waiting for my pitcher to spill over. So literally everything that I've done, I can finally reap the benefits. My family can reap the benefits, and we'll no longer have to try so hard. You know what I mean? And I think that's why I wanted to put Thread out. And it's funny too because there's another reason is because I actually I started listening again to 90s alternative rock. I just got like deeply into it again when I was a teenager. I loved that music, and I found Alice in Chains and I fell in love with the song Nutshell. And I think that Lane Staley song, his interpretation of him feeling like he was lost, and we actually lost him to heroin. A lot of great artists we lost in that manner, but that's what made me make Thread. You know what I mean? And that's all it took. I was at work. I worked the overnight shift. I wrote Thread in like, I don't know. I write songs in like 25, 30 minutes. You know what I mean? And Thread was written, and all I had to do was make an instrumental. And I was like, I'm gonna put this other stuff to the side, and I just want to put out Thread. And so there's a darkness. There's a darkness that hides inside me as well with a lot of the things that I'm still suffering with. Um, but I try to remain positive and a beacon for a lot of my friends and family. And it's awesome, really, because I literally just had a friend hit me up the other day. He decided that he was going to write me a song about me, about my life. It's kind of like when a fan puts a tattoo on them about a celebrity's or an artist's favorite face or something like that. He wrote a song about me for me, and so I posted it and said, "This is awesome," and is not the first one that's hit me up and said, I just want you to know you're a real part of why I'm still doing this. You know what I mean? And those little things are just like they're extremely meaningful to me. You know what I mean? Even though I haven't even gotten to where I'm satisfied, you know. But as my mentor Jim says, you really need to step back and see all that you truly have accomplished so far. And that's hard sometimes because you're still looking for that certain place to be.
I think there's a reason we don't find that sense of satisfaction. It would be over if you did.
Right.
I think that we can have pit stops where we feel a sense of accomplishment and we like what we're doing, but complete satisfaction, I don't think it works that way.
Right.
No.
No, I agree.
After over 60 conversations with creatives, I would say that you are standing out precisely because you have put your creativity out in such a diverse array of things. Like you said, I've been a creative all my life, and no shit, Sherlock,
Yeah,
man. I
really.
mean, everything that you have done, from your advocacy to the genre, the music, the writing.
The clothing.
hmm
Yes, yes, your clothing line. We definitely have checked the creative box. I want to ask a little bit about, because one of our pillars is community, and I'd like to know how can all that you've experienced, all you've done, the milestones, the achievements, and then the challenges, the hard things. How has community played a role in that?
So based on how people have supported me, is that what you're saying?
In any way
Anyway.
it shows up.
Well, I mean, coming from small town, it's definitely harder to get yourself out there. You know what I mean? But I do have to say that over the years, I've had, this town has definitely supported everything I've done. There's no doubt. And I've put this city on my back for many, many, many years. And some people said that that was one of my hindrances is that, you're thinking too small. You keep thinking Hud City, Hud City, Hud City. Everything's Hud City. Well, I mean, when I was younger, I mean, it was something that that it was like a patch that I wore on my chest. You know what I mean? Hud City was everything to everybody that lived here. Um, Over the years, it's changed quite a bit. Now we have a lot of city people coming in and changing things and taking away some of our traditions and things like that. So it's definitely taken a turn. But as far as community wise, all of the people of Hudson, I have a ton of people on my Facebook and just on my in my general circle that definitely appreciate and love everything that I do, and they have supported me quite a bit. So I have a lot of love for that. I've always been a part of the community, always trying to do something when nobody's looking. Just trying to help out where I can. Trying to do those things that really matter. You know, even though even though someone else might not even know you've done it. I mean, it matters to me to know that I did it. And so yeah, community is huge. I mean, without them, without friends, fans, family, who are we? You know what I mean? What do we have to show for what we've done and created?
You definitely obviously have a large fan base, but what about that closer in community, like collaborations and people that you go to when things aren't working and you need help.
Oh
That
yeah.
that area that's beyond the people that are clicking the likes or buying your music, or the
Hmm.
the things where people step in and maybe occasionally save the day or let you lean on them and cry on their shoulder, that type of community.
Yeah. To say, that there's a lot of people have given me the time of day to go to them and explain my situation. Like my parents are right down the road, so I have them to lean on 100% when something's really wrong. So happy that I still have both of them. Love them very, very much. My mom and dad truly. My dad wanted, excuse me, just do it before I'm dead. You know what I mean? Just show me something before I'm gone. But my mom is just like, she's just an incredible supporter. Like, just always has been so authentically loving, and passionate about everything I've done. She loves to listen to my music. She always has. Even from day one, I'd be like, "Oh, I got this new tape," and she'd be like, "Put it on. Your dad's at the bar. You can put it on." And he won't listen, you know. And it's like, so the family aspect is there, and then um, the team, my rush team. I talk to Jim literally every day, and me and him, he tells me how important it is to just take a step back and understand what you're doing has so much importance. You know what I mean? And so, and then the thing of burning bridges. You know what I mean? I've lived my life on do not burn bridges, because you'll see it in later in life when it's time to go back to get back a favor or something like that. That those people will still be there. And I guess because I've always been a solid dude, I've never really steered anybody wrong. You know what I mean? I feel like that's given me a ton of community people that believe in when I say, that I need help or something like that, they're there for me. You know what I mean? Like, just it's so important to be yourself, be authentic your whole life, and you could see how far that'll get you later in life, really.
Yeah, and you mentioned a few people that showed you who they were, um, in surprising ways, because, well, it's natural for people to grow apart, and also a few people that you just lost track of. And, I get how life gets by and everyone's busy. And um, what have those experiences where you have grown apart, or where you learn have new realizations about people, taught you about yourself, and how are you going to try to model a way for that learning to help those that you care about?
Well, when my dad said, when you get older, you realize who your true friends are. Um, Unfortunately, because of what I've done in my life and because of the moves that I've made, I've actually lost a lot of people that I loved dearly. You know what I mean? Almost brothers to me. Even one recently that kind of fell off the face of the earth. Been friends our whole lives, but now every time I make a post, every time I say a word, anything like that, he's posting negatively about me, and it's like, okay, well, that's crazy because we grew up our whole lives together. So as far as we call them the haters. You know what I mean?
Sure.
We all have our haters, and I do have quite a few of those as well. Um, and I think it's
Yeah,
because I don't know. I guess they just didn't want to see me go any further than where I was.
I was
And
going to say, you know
yeah,
that's not about you, right?
oh, of course. And again, it sucks because some of these people were truly people that I thought I would know for my entire life. And unfortunately, like Dwight said, you grow apart. And, like my dad told me, he's like, you're not going to have the same friends you do when you're older. And, he proved that to me with his group of friends that he has now. And it just kind of, the circle gets smaller and smaller. But at the end of the day, the real true people that are there for you, the real people that care about you and love you, are the ones that are going to be there till the end, the ones that are going to be there through all your thick and thin, the ones that are going to be there when you're hanging on by a thread and you're literally ready to just like cash in all your chips. Those are the type of people that are the ones to hang on to. You know what I mean? And my wife is the most loyal, inspirational woman I've ever known in my life. My daughter, she's 10. My daughter, Katie Bug, she's
Mhm.
everything to me. She's such a sweet little girl who absolutely loves her daddy and loves her daddy's music and loves her daddy's vision and all of that. And my stepgirls and every aspect of family, I definitely have to lean on to. But again, there's a lot of friends out there who I consider true friends, and there's a lot of acquaintances, and then there's a lot of people that unfortunately don't want to see me win and continue to prove that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well,
That's sad, but there's always going to be people like that, you know?
mhm.
Absolutely.
You said the word vision a minute ago. So
Mhm.
what's next?
What's next? What's next? Right now, working with Rush Entertainment has been awesome. Um, Jim is actually from here as well, and he's not in the book because that's the next chapter. I guess that would be the second book. You know what I mean? But he created Rush Entertainment based off of a whim that he just wanted to book a lot of shows, put a lot of artists on, and just do his thing. And it ended up, the cool thing about it is he tells me, he told me from the beginning. He said, "I want you to know that you were an inspiration for me to want to try to go national with booking shows. You were one of the people that I watched and learned from, and now he's my mentor." You know what I mean? And that's incredible. But what we have is a full team of amazing artists. I believe there's 51 artists on the roster, and we're talking artists all the way from 10 million followers all the way up until someone like me. You know what I mean? Who's trying to get to that point. So we are building something amazing. They actually have a big show in Nashville on Saturday. And I'm the marketing manager, so we're currently working on. I don't know if you know Aaron Lewis from Stained, but this is one of the things I can put out there that I'm allowed to talk about is Aaron Lewis is a huge, huge artist from the band Stained from back in the day, and he's actually they've hired Rush to book his show. And
Wow.
yeah, so to book his shows, and so Jim is making connections that are just truly going to grow the business, exponentially. It's it's like at a point where he put all of his time and effort into it without really making much back, and now we're all about to reap the benefits of what Rush Entertainment is. And Jim brought me on as an artist, and he brought me on, loves my marketing skills, brought me on as a marketing manager. So hopefully very soon Rush is going to be the next big thing in entertainment, because right now we're really building a very nice resume for that to happen.
I just want to reflect back to
Yeah,
you that everything that you've done up till now leads to that point, and you have spent your lifetime planting seeds.
that's right.
Like you have lived into those lessons that your dad told you about not burning bridges,
Hmm.
about making relationships matter. And what you're describing is you're about to embark on what's going to be a bountiful harvest.
Yeah, definitely ready to reap the benefits of everything that I've done. You know what I mean? I think it's time. I've I put so much time, effort, as I say, blood, sweat, and tears, 100% into all of this to get to a certain culmination. and that's where I'm trying to reach. And I feel like if I just keep on pushing forward a little bit more, I think we're getting there. You know what I mean? I really, really, truly do. Where the whole world is going to know what sincerely dedicated is. They're going to know why the treble clef is flipped. They're going to know why Rush Entertainment took over as leading industry provider when they're artists first and not money first. I mean, the things that we're creating are all groundbreaking, and it's just incredible to be a part of it all. And just to be a creative in general is one of the coolest things in the world, because my wife, she's not a creative, but she's extremely, extremely intelligent in many other fashions. She's in college, as a for psychology, and just incredible. But I try to explain to her, if you never live the life of a creator, then you don't know what's going on in my head, unfortunately. And there is a lot going on in there. You know what I mean? A lot. And it just doesn't stop. It just continues to try to figure out, okay, how can we put some more tracks on this train, on the railroad here to create more momentum.
So,
Well,
so Sean, you have accomplished a lot. There's no doubt about that. It's said by many wise people, what got you here won't get you there. So this new chapter, who is Sean going to have to become that Sean has not yet become to meet the needs of this new chapter?
Patient, you know, I think patience is so incredibly valuable. And I think it's something that I've lacked. And I think that's why I've made certain decisions that probably weren't, so great for me. You know what I mean? Like diving into a company that says they're gonna do this and that for you, A and B, and it just ends up being a flop. You know what I mean? I think that I've made a lot of those type of errors, but at the end of the day, failure. I have accepted that failure is a part of success, and I've actually accepted that failure. There's nothing wrong with it at all. Like all it is a stepping stone. All it is growth. You know what I'm saying? So
That's words of wisdom right there. That is
yeah,
yeah.
wisdom bomb is what we
yeah,
call that.
yeah, and patience is a virtue. 100%. That is 100% factual. So just trusting and believing in the Lord above, trusting and believing that the universe um, has written something for me that I don't need to work so hard in my mind to try to understand.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, it
I
sounds like you're balancing the big push and letting go.
Yeah,
yeah,
there's a bunch in there. There's letting go, there's trust, there's faith. What you just said it encompassed quite a few things. Good call, Dwight.
Well, this has been an amazing conversation, and we're so glad to have been a part of your continuing story. Uh, is there anything that you'd like to share with our listeners that we haven't had a chance to talk about yet?
I mean, I just want to say, and I've been excited about this, but I just want to say that this, out of all the podcasts I've done, this was my favorite,
Wow. Oh,
honestly, because I think that you guys have, you guys have just dived into what it is that truly makes a creative. You know what I mean? And you've really tapped into the parts that I would want others to hear to understand me better. You know what I'm saying? I think that was huge, and I just think you guys have a knack at this, and it's really been incredible for me. It's been an incredible experience for me, and like I said, I was very excited about it, and I can't wait to show it to everybody. As far as what I haven't tapped into, I don't know. I think we tapped into quite a bit. I think you guys definitely went down the Sean Delaney road, and pulled out a lot of things that I was happy to talk about. So I mean, except where they can find me or anything like that. Am I allowed to put those plugs out there? Or
Yes.
Please.
oh,
We,
okay.
we, yes, absolutely. And we will put that out there in the show notes.
Yeah. Yeah,
You,
so
you,
you can go to SeanDelaneyOfficial.com. That's my main hub, and I've turned that into my EPK. Basically, you can go there and see every single type of platform that you can find me on. All of my music, all of
in
my
reflection,
everything. Yep.
oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
In my reflection of this conversation today, there's one thing I want to acknowledge. It's all been absolutely fabulous, but I the conversation about neurodivergence and autism is a topic that's near and dear to our hearts.
Yeah.
Um, we we have seen enough to know that that runs very, very high in the community of creatives. Lots and lots of high percentage of neurodivergency.
Hmm.
So it's a topic that we advocate for and support, and just so grateful that you're out there doing that, that you're out there advocating for that. So thank you.
Well, I can say, I'm actually in college again, to become a DSP-3. So that's something right before I got off here, I was writing my psychology paper. I don't know what I'm thinking going back to college with this, but I had an opportunity to finish the NEDSP code of ethics, and by taking myself as a DSP-3, pretty much puts me like I really couldn't get any further with where I am as a direct support professional. And there's some cool benefits that come with it or whatever. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try this. I didn't realize that I was gonna be taking like 9 full courses of college in the next year or so. But it's something that I've taken on, and you know, it just goes to show that like, yeah, this has definitely been a huge part of my life. 25 years, and that's facts. With all the agencies I've worked at as a manager, I've been a manager at a program. I've been a consultant, and now I'm just laying low as an overnight shift. But I absolutely love the people that I support. I've got, I was a ComHab worker for a long time too, where I took many different individuals and helped them gain some amazing family bonds with them and their families. They absolutely love me, and I love them back. Actually, one of them is friends with my family to the point where my daughter was being, watched by mom. You know what I mean? So, it just, I think that's the sense of community. You know what I mean? That you were referring to in that aspect. Right down the block, I took care of a young man that had cerebral palsy, and he was absolutely he was definitely a firecracker, and he wanted to have his own business, and me and him we created his LLC together. You know what I mean? So it's like I did all these things for these guys, and really just the benefit of knowing them and getting to know you know everything about them, and just falling in love with these types of personalities. I just something that you really can't buy, you know.
I want to call something out for our listeners, and that is something that you demonstrate that maybe you've never gotten this feedback, or maybe this isn't something you've never even thought about. But through everything that you've said, your stories, your experiences, what I see with clarity is two things that you do in life that would likely change the lives of other people if they were willing to follow your lead and your example. One is you're open, and two is you're willing to be led.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
And that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
We as human beings spend so much time getting in our own fucking way.
Mm-hmm.
And you tell stories about just everything, just sounds like just openness when you said, I don't know why I'm going back to college, because you're being led to, and you're
Yeah.
just trusting and following the lead. There's something you're very intuitive, aren't you? You get messages and you follow them.
Oh my God. If I see another angel number, 333, I mean, if that thing that drives me insane. The 333-444. I wrote a song called The Road and it's all about the universe. It's a great song. You guys should check that one out. Um, and I tap into all of that. I do feel like the universe has a plan for all of us. And I do feel like coincidences are not coincidences, they're actually signs. So, yes, intuitive 100%. That's a perfect word for it. I never really been called that before, but now it makes sense.
You're connected.
Yeah.
You have there's a level of oneness going on between you and creation.
Mm-hmm. I believe
Yeah.
that 100%. Yes.
Yeah. Sean, thank you so much. This has been amazing.
Same. I agree. I loved it. I loved just the raw authenticity of it all, for sure, for me.
Thank you. That
You know,
means a lot.
and the fact
Yeah.
that you read my whole book before you talked to me, I mean, man, I cannot thank you enough for that. Just to really tap into me and to really understand exactly who you're talking to. You know what I mean? Because you get on some podcasts and they have no idea who you are, and the questions are written on a piece of paper, and it's a lot different than really diving into somebody with conviction. You know what I mean?
Sure. Well,
Your
I'll
words mean a
say,
lot.
Yeah.
yeah, you made it a heck of a lot easier because, my goodness, you have a gift. I mean, you really do. I hope to see some more books from you soon.
Yeah, I hope I get to write my second book on how everything came to fruition.
Yes, we'll vote for that.